In a previous video, we drove the Toyota Yaris Cross, and the underlying takeaway from that video was that everything felt a little bit too budgety. If you take that away and you put a Lexus badge on it, then this is what you get, the Lexus LBX. My name is Peter, and in this video we're going to have a look around this car and tell you why this is a real step up from the Yaris Cross and why this might be the small premium SUV for you. I say SUV, it's a crossover, let's be honest. It's a hatchback on stilts, if you will. It's not an SUV in any way, shape or form, size-wise, performance-wise or anything. This is an urban environment SUV, small, compact city car. But the Lexus badge is the key here, because this is certainly a premium product with a premium price tag, as we'll see at the end. But it starts here in the front with a very own face of the car. Obviously it shares a lot of components underneath with the Toyota Yaris Cross. Makes sense, in-house, in the family, why not reuse it? But the outside and everything you touch and everything you interact with really is a few steps up from the Toyota Yaris Cross. So starting here in the front, daytime running lights, LED headlights, not sort of the Toyota-y face, it's a really own characteristic face, and it becomes much more premium with these chrome accents here, with the chrome bar all the way across the little lip here. It looks really nice. It gives you that premium feel right from the get-go, which is great. When we walk around the car, obviously size and shape-wise, it's very similar to the Yaris Cross. 4.20 m long, about 1.80 m wide, just under. So it's not a big car by any means. When I stand in front of it, you can see that it's not big, let's be honest. But 420 though, it is very usable. It's certainly not a tiny car. This is a size that you can still park anywhere, but you can still take people on a small trip as well. So this is a size that you can drive when it's just you and a partner, you and a first child. Maybe even 2 kids will fit in, as long as your expectations on travel and so on are realistic. Of course, there's a hybrid powertrain, more on that later. So we got the fuel filler cap here, 36-liter tank capacity. And when we come to the rear, it's the same thing actually. It's a nice swooping design here from Lexus. The whole car has a lot of round and elegant lines, and it makes the whole car feel pleasant to approach. And when we start driving, you'll see that it's the same with the driving experience. Looking in the boot, obviously it is premium electric. Nothing crazy going on, just under 400 liters of space, which is more than plenty. No false floors or anything, there's just some space here for your tow eye and a few tire compression stuff. All simple, and we get this first aid kit from Lexus with some Velcro, so you can actually stick it here and it'll stay. Very usable, nothing for your ski holiday or summer trip or anything, but enough for a weekend away with a family, and certainly all your sports gear and everything you might transport around on a daily basis will fit just fine. Sitting here in the front of the Lexus LBX, there's of course a lot of familiarity between this one and the Toyota Yaris because the underlying platform is the same. So a lot of stuff is in the same place. But everything you see and everything you touch and everything you interact with immediately feels premium. There's soft materials here on the door, some kind of Alcantara-like. The steering wheel is soft and squidgy. Materials up here are soft, and it all feels more expensive than the Toyota, obviously, because it is. But it's important that Lexus enhances that feeling when you sit here, and as soon as you get into the car, you get that feeling that it's more premium, which is hard to do, but it's nicely done, so that's good. Giving you a little tour through the cabin. Traditional controls for your mirrors and your windows, so that's super simple. Traditional stalks behind the steering wheel for your lights and your wipers, also super simple. And a simple, nice steering wheel with some features on each side. Now those features have a bit of a story because, I mean, obviously your volume and your cruise control buttons are pretty self-explanatory, but there's 2 joysticks here, and you use those to operate several functions of the car. So your stereo and such is on the left, cruise control and such is on the right, great. But you operate them through the heads-up display. So they're touch sensitive, so as soon as you put your thumb on it, the display lights up, because they're not visible when you're not touching them. It lights up, and then you can cycle through the options before you press them. And you can use this page button to also change the layout of your buttons. And of course in the menu you can play a bit with what you want to see there. But it doesn't work. It's too fiddly. Like I found myself many times in the past week that I had this car where you press a button and you think it's where you left it and it isn't. And then you have to touch it again, wait till it lights up, and then you can press it. It's too complicated. It's a solution for a problem that didn't exist, and it's not futuristic or anything. It's just annoying to work with. Because so often you just want to skip a track, or you just want to skip radio stations, and you press the button and nothing happens. And then you have to touch it again and press it again, and then you're distracted and you're looking at the screen. It doesn't work. Don't do that. Why do I need to change the settings on what I want on my left joystick? Like, just put the radio there permanently and everybody's happy. So I don't like that. Another easier way to do it is the flappy pedals behind the steering wheel. They obviously control the gearbox, but it's a CVT gearbox, so it's not like you're shifting gears like in a traditional car with a clutch. So I'm not entirely sure why this is here. The car only has 136 horsepower, so it's not like you're going to be flipping through gears on some kind of sporty mountain road. So as far as I'm concerned, those shouldn't have been there to begin with. But the steering wheel is nice. There's a whole array of sensors on top of it that are also quite annoying, actually, because they constantly say, pay attention, are you still there? Do you want to take a break? Are you falling asleep? I'm sure you can turn it off somewhere in the menu, but yeah, it is a bit annoying that it's constantly warning you about those things. The driver display though is nice, clear, easy to read, everything is fine, even though it is a bit busy with a whole array of symbols and things going on. But you can obviously put your maps on there, your ref counter, your speed and everything you want. So, you know, it works. It's just a bit busy. Moving along, we got some physical vents here on the top that are easy to operate and use. So that's great. No swipey thingies here. And the same goes for temperature control and some air conditioning control. That's all here with physical buttons. So that is super nice. So that's great. That's all you want. And the same goes for the volume control. It's nice that there's just a physical knob here to control the volume. Not only nice for your passenger, but also, as I said, when these joysticks don't work, it's nice to just reach over and change the volume. You're looking at a 10-inch screen. Obviously it looks quite familiar. In the Toyota I said that it was quite basic and not the last word in design. I'm going to say the same thing here, even though this looks slightly nicer in terms of fonts, I think, mostly. But it's still, yeah, very basic, left, right, left, right. Yeah, not the last word, but it is very functional. So, you know, it is what it is. Down here we got some more physical buttons, alarm lights, obviously, your cameras and your parking assists. And here's some USBs for charging and system connecting, so that is all good. What is not so good is the cubby down here for your inductive charging. It looks fine. I toss my keys and stuff in there because I don't have inductive charging. But when I put the giant Galaxy phone of my camera woman in here, you can first of all see that it doesn't fit. It sticks out way too far. And it's also quite sensitive on where it's placed in terms of charging or not. Okay, fine. But then as soon as you start driving, this starts to move and you lose your connection, and then there's no charging anymore. So that's not convenient. They should have made some kind of ridge back here so you're always in the right spot. Then we have some cup holders that are somewhat adaptive, but not really, because if I put this small bottle in here, you can see that it doesn't even fit. So that is a bit of a letdown. I got my garage clicker here and the Lexus key. Very exciting. So that's that. There is luckily another cup holder back here that fits slightly better, but if you have bigger things, then they might not fit all together. So, you know, take that for what it is. And this we can open up and we can find the big storage bin. Obviously, you can take this one out and you can even slide it around as well if you wish. And then you can just fit your bottle down here. So that's that, a bit of storage. A bit of storage also down here. There's a big bin where you can just sort of throw everything in that sort of flies around in your car. Might be a bit redundant because you have the armrest cubby here, but it is always nice to have some extra space. And the last bit is the gear shifter, or the drive selector rather, nicely covered in leather. Feels nice and premium, but it's a bit complicated because you got to move it this way first before you can put it in drive or reverse. And then you got to put it one more time for sport mode. It's a bit complicated, but you know, fine, it works, you get used to it. Then we got some pretty standard buttons: hold, parking, traction control, eco mode that you'll never use, and EV mode that you'll probably also never use, but more on that when we start driving. Overall, the cabin is nice. It really, that premium feel, like I said, is really available throughout the whole cabin. So it's nice. It's nice that Lexus has done it in a way where it makes sense. It makes you feel like, oh yeah, I paid for a nice product, but it's not over the top that you're like, oh, this is now unusable. So that is actually quite good, apart from the joysticks on the steering wheel then. So here we are driving the Lexus LBX, and right from the word go you have to manage your expectations, because in here we have the 1.5 liter hybrid powertrain with 3 cylinders and 136 horsepower. And that is a small amount of power, even for a car that weighs about 1,300 kilos. It's just not a lot of power. And that means that you're never going to be fast. This is not a traffic light sprinter. This is not a highway beater or anything. It is a pleasant vehicle to move around in without anything crazy happening. So once those expectations are set, it is actually quite a pleasant way to move around. It's quiet, the cabin is comfortable, we got double glass, we got all the creature comforts that we might need, and that makes it very pleasant to spend time in this car. As you can see, we're now driving around sort of in a build-up area, but also with some space. It's really a place where the car feels at home. It's easy to place on the road, it's easy to have the overview in and around the car. I can see back quite well, the wing mirrors are nice. Overall, it's a good car for this environment. And also when you go into, let's say, tighter spaces, parking garages, the inner city, it's pleasant, you have good overview, the slightly higher seating position is nice, so that it all works in this package. And that's of course exactly what this car is designed to do. I use this car in my daily life for a week now, and you know, it's taking my kids to sports, running errands, meeting people in and around town, and it's pleasant, it's nice, the size is good, the size is well judged for the environment that this car is meant for. There's not enough space for adults to sit in the back and have a long journey. That is certainly not going to happen, but short drives are no issue. Obviously, it's not going to be the last word in comfort, but it's possible. For my kids, 7 and 10 years old, no issues whatsoever. They easily fit, they have a good time back there, the materials are nice, they feel pleasant. So all is well there. And of course, as soon as you start looking at a larger vehicle that has more capacity in the back, you're also looking at different price tags, and you also have to deal with that size constantly. And that does make it more cumbersome in small spaces and in a city environment. So I think Lexus has, and Toyota in general, have well judged the size of this car. Obviously looking at the competition as well, this size vehicle works really well. And people are asking for it, right? Because we travel less and less far by car, and a car like this will cover 90% of what you're doing without hesitation. So that is actually quite nice. Obviously, we got to have a look in the back of the Lexus LBX, and it is not good news. With 183 and about 90 kilos, I don't fit here. Technically, yes, it does, but I'm stuck behind myself, and I can still move my feet, but that is about it. You know, fine for a 15-minute drive throughout town or something, that's all going to be fine, but anything further than that, it's not comfortable. You can tell I'm also sitting against the roof with my head, so that is not good either. So for adults back here, anybody my size or bigger is not going to be happy. Kids, no issue. My kids are 7 and 10. They fit here, no issue whatsoever. If you use big child seats here though, it gets tight quite quickly as well. So then you really got to start moving these seats forward in order to give the kids some space. So take that into account. The good news is that the materials and such are really nice. Soft materials, same as in the front. Everything feels good and premium, so that is really well done. And there's some simple creature comforts as well. Some seat pockets here that are nice. Some USBs down here with a little flap. Also good. So, you know, as far as that goes, you're well catered for back here, and you're certainly not uncomfortable. If you are a child, as an adult, a small adult will fit. Anybody my size or bigger is not going to work. I'll move to the middle seats just for showing it. Here I'm really stuck underneath the roof, it doesn't work. And you can also see with the limited width of the car how much space I'm already taking up. I'm really halfway on the seats on the side. So yeah, not for adults my size at all. Point of criticism here for Lexus, something that you really shouldn't do, is the ISOFIX covers. Obviously when this is loose like this, it is an issue because this will fly away instantly and you'll never find it again, and then you have a permanent hole back here. So not cool. This should be attached. Last but not least, let's look at the door. All the touch points are really nice. The same soft material is in the front. The same button is in the front as well. So that's how you open the door. And you get your own window controls and some lock and unlock features. There is a cup holder, but that is all there is to it. So a bottle will fit, but there's no storage here or anything, simply because the insert of the door is not big enough. Once you're moving and once you, like I said, manage your expectations about the power, It's actually quite pleasant, this CVT gearbox. You can operate this with the pedals, but I can guarantee you'll never do that because the gearbox is smooth enough working with the engine and the hybrid system to just get you through traffic, no issues whatsoever. And flipping through imaginary gears yourself is just, it doesn't add anything to the equation. So don't bother with that. There is the eco mode and the EV mode that you might consider. I think only the EV mode is potentially interesting. You know, there might be situations where you want to drive purely eco, maybe leaving your residential area, maybe in a environment zone, but it's also only available when the battery is has enough charge. So not always. The eco mode, perhaps when you have a long highway journey, but in general, you're never going to touch that either. So, you know, as far as that goes, it is also a no-nonsense car without too many options that you got to consider or think about. It's just, you know, you put it in D and you start driving. So that is actually quite nice. And the refinement that Lexus put in this car is also nice. It's all very smooth. It's all very quiet thanks to the double glass. The touch points are nice. It feels nice to be in this car. The seats are comfortable and the ergonomics of the cabin work well. So yeah, it's all around a strong package and a strong proposition from Lexus in this little city car. So there's several options available with this Lexus LBX, and it's actually so many that I got the website here. It starts with the LBX for 38,000 euro here in the Netherlands. Then we have the business line for 39,000 and the LBX Emotion for 42,000. So that's a big jump. Then on top of that is the LBX Relax for 43,000, and this one that we're in is the LBX Cool for 43,495. So that's quite a lot of money, and these all have the same front-wheel drive, 136 horsepower engine hybrid system. Then there is a whole slew of all-wheel drive versions available, starting with the Emotion at 45, the LBX Relax for 46, and the LBX Cool for 46,495. And obviously the further you go, the higher the trim levels get, and so on. So that's quite a few versions to pick from. Here in the Netherlands, the all-wheel drives are irrelevant because it just doesn't make any sense. It's also heavier, slower, so why would you, and taxed higher. And then the front-wheel drive versions, quite a lot to choose. I would pick this as my primary vehicle. I would go for the Cool version that we have now, because then you have all the toys and it's nice. You know, everything is nice and the way you want it to be. If you pick this as your secondary vehicle, I would go for one of the middle trims, where you have enough toys to make it, you know, easily livable, but not so much that it's going to get really expensive. After a week with this Lexus LBX, I can confidently say that it is a premium product that is miles above the Yaris Cross on which it's based. I think Lexus has done a really good job in making this feel premium from the moment you get in terms of the materials, the comfort, the way you interact with the car. It's just nice. It's a nice car to be in, it's a nice car to drive. A few points of criticism are obviously the lack of space in the back. Also something that you really need to manage when you buy a vehicle like this. There is not enough space for adults in there for any kind of longer journey. And even with kids, it fits, it's all fine, but once you start working with baby seats, it gets cramped in a hurry. It's a great introduction to the brand as well. I think if you like this, you can grow within the Lexus brand. There's obviously several tiers of models of sizes available, and I think this is a great first step into the brand. That's all I got for you in this video. Thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of our videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Cheers!